everybody calls me Miss Stone.
For me, when I started my career, I couldn't get the glamorous parts because people didn't think that I was sexy and they didn't think that I was beautiful enough. No, because I'm, as you know me a long time, I'm really a bookworm and I'm a shy person. And it was harder for me to pull myself together to get people to find me beautiful and sexy. And once I crossed that hump, then I got kind of pigeonholed into the beautiful, sexy parts because I really figured that out.
It's nice.
Sharon Stone's career has been filled with highs and lows, moments of triumph and regret. Before she became a household name in the 1990s with roles in critically acclaimed films, she endured projects that did little to serve her artistic ambitions.
That we all put our heart and soul and blood and sweat into.
One such experience came in 1985 when she starred in King Solomon's Mines.
We'll talk about it later, boss.
A film that she would later describe as a career misstep, the result of an agent's betrayal rather than a strategic move. It was a project she did not believe in, one that left her stranded in Africa for a year, and one that did nothing to advance her standing in Hollywood. Hollywood in the 1980s was undergoing a fascination with action-adventure films, particularly those that followed in the footsteps of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
And someone sneaking around behind us tags right along.
Why?
The formula of a rugged hero, exotic locations, and perilous quests was a proven success, and studios were eager to replicate it. Among the films attempting to cash in on this trend was King Solomon's Mines, an adaptation of H. Rider Haggard's 1885 novel, which had already been made into films several times before.
When I got the part, I thought I probably should.
You look at Arnold.
The 1985 version was produced by Cannon Films, a studio known for its low-budget action movies and its tendency to prioritize commercial viability over artistic integrity. The company was notorious for churning out films quickly, often with limited budgets and rushed productions. Richard Chamberlain was cast in the lead role of Alan Quatermain, a character meant to embody the swashbuckling adventurer archetype. Chamberlain had built a reputation in television, starring in popular miniseries that had made him a familiar face to audiences. His casting was intended to bring a touch of credibility to the film, but even he struggled to elevate the material. He later admitted that the film was designed to be a light-hearted, tongue-in-cheek adventure, but its execution left much to be desired.
Please don't kill him. Please.
Sharon Stone was cast as Jessie Houston, a character not from the original novel, but created for the film as Quatermain's love interest. At this point in her career, Stone was still establishing herself in Hollywood, taking on roles that would give her exposure and experience. However, King Solomon's Mines was not the opportunity she had hoped for.
Mr. Stealth is still hot on our trail.
What does he want?
Maybe someone doesn't want you to find your father.
Years later, she spoke candidly about how she ended up in the film, revealing that her agent had orchestrated the deal without her best interests in mind. "I had an agent that sold me out," she said, explaining that the agent had an arrangement with the producer that ensured she took the part, whether she wanted it or not. "They told me it was important to star in a movie. I spent a year in Africa, and that'll put your career to a grinding halt." Filming took place in Zimbabwe, a choice that provided authentic scenery, but also posed significant challenges. The remote locations meant that the cast and crew had to contend with logistical difficulties, unpredictable weather, and physical exhaustion. Stone found the experience grueling, not just because of the demanding conditions, but because she felt trapped in a project that did not serve her ambitions. Unlike some actors who look back on their early struggles with nostalgia, she did not romanticize the experience. "I thought the movie was so horrible," she said, making it clear that she never saw it as a stepping stone to greater things. The film itself struggled to find an identity. Instead of taking a serious approach to the adventure genre, it leaned heavily into parody, attempting to mimic the tone of Indiana Jones, but with exaggerated humor and over-the-top action sequences. Unfortunately, the comedic elements did not land as intended, and the film came across as clumsy rather than clever. The dialogue was stilted, the performances lacked conviction, and the special effects were underwhelming even by mid-1980s standards.
You don't even believe in the mines. No,
It was a film that lacked the polish and precision needed to make such a concept work. Critics were unforgiving in their assessments. Reviewers derided the film for its poor pacing, lack of originality, and uneven tone.
Ich besuche mein Liebling, Herr Wagner.
Many saw it as a cheap imitation of superior adventure films, one that failed to justify its existence beyond being a quick cash grab. Audiences were equally unimpressed, and the film's box office performance was underwhelming.
Valuable and about how there really isn't a measure of success.
While it managed to earn some money, it did not make a significant impact, and it certainly did not launch any careers. For Chamberlain, it was a forgettable entry in his filmography. For Stone, it was a moment she would rather erase.
Really let me go for it. And so I put my all into it because it really was my dream.
Stone's personal life also suffered during this period. She has spoken about how making films like King Solomon's Mines took a toll on her marriage, contributing to the difficulties she was facing at the time. Making those was incredibly destructive to my marriage because we were both locked in the nightmare of making horrible movies for people who didn't give a shit about what we were doing anyway. The sense of being trapped, of having little control over the direction of her career, weighed heavily on her. It was a reality faced by many actors trying to carve out a space in Hollywood, where contracts and obligations often forced them into projects they would rather avoid.
And not be disappointed, because I met my dream being able to do that.
Despite the disappointment of King Solomon's Mines, Stone did not let it define her. She continued working, taking on roles that gradually allowed her to demonstrate her talent. By the 1990s, she had successfully reinvented herself, starring in Basic Instinct, a film that not only established her as a leading actress, but also gave her control over her career in a way she had never experienced before. The contrast between that film and King Solomon's Mines is stark, highlighting how far she had come from being an actress who was forced into a film she despised to one who could command the kind of roles she wanted.
Had that thing where it's sort of like passing out, except you pass.
Looking back, King Solomon's Mines remains a curious artifact of 1980s adventure filmmaking. It was an attempt to ride the coattails of a more successful franchise, executed without the finesse needed to make it work. It serves as a reminder of how Hollywood can sometimes prioritize market trends over storytelling, and how actors often have to endure missteps before they reach the heights of their careers.
You know everything. Besides, you should understand why I was so secretive. After all.
For Stone, it was an unfortunate chapter, but one that ultimately did not prevent her from reaching the success she deserved.